And welcome to Martial Mentality, a martial arts inspired podcast. Today I have with me
Brian Cobble, back again.
and
Joseph Blackwelder, and I am glad to be back.
guys, you already
Again.
know who we all are. If you've been watching this podcast,
I'm so sorry.
yeah,
I really am.
You get
No,
to
I'm
see our
not. I
pretty
don't care.
faces again.
and today we're going to be talking about what is good kung fu. I'm actually really excited about this topic.
That's interesting. What is bad kung fu?
Oh, I guess we're going to get into
I
that
guess
too.
we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I can point you to a few places.
All right,
Where
stop
that's
it.
gonna
We'll
be an
stop
easy
right here.
one.
All right, don't give them too much.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about in general. Let's start with you, Joe.
Okay.
What is kung fu?
Okay. Well, we talk about this a lot in class. I think the words actually translate to, like a skill developed over time.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be anything. It doesn't have to just be fighting.
Right.
And that's what it means to me. It's like it's a lifestyle. It's like, I like guitar, so I'm gonna dedicate the time playing it. Like, any kind of skill you do, that's your kung fu. It's what you do.
Right.
So
Right. Brian, what about you?
I'm gonna refer back to Netflix for this because they did Marco Polo.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, where are you going with this one? I didn't know where he was going, YouTube.
yeah.
I don't care what you think about the show, good, bad, indifferent. I can understand all of your opinions, but I think it's very early on, episodes like 2 or 3 maybe. There's a character in the show who is a blind monk, so to speak. And he asks this question and he says, "What is kung fu?" And he gives an explanation, and he's essentially asking Marco Polo, when you go back to Italy, what are you going to tell them kung fu is? And I don't remember the exact quote, but it goes something like, will you act like a monk from Shaolin and tell them it is the way of the tiger and the crane, tireless or peerless skill through hard work and discipline, or will you give them some other answer? And as he goes through the full kind of explanation set with the cinematography, I think it sets up a really good explanation because he goes through a painter can have kung fu, a custodian, an artist, all of those things can have what really kung fu means.
Yeah.
That peerless skill through tireless hard work.
Right.
Yeah. It's like the Jackie Chan Karate Kid. Kung fu's and everything.
It is.
And I feel like that's true. I feel like it's true.
Here's the thing that a lot of people who even do kung fu don't realize that kung fu is really more of a mindset per se. And that word or that phrase has just become synonymous with martial arts.
Right. Fighting.
Right. And it doesn't necessarily mean fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just said, it is a skill developed through hard work.
You've got your creed for your school here too, and you got like that whole being disciplined in all areas of your life. I try to carry that with me when I'm doing something, a chore that I don't want to do. It's like, some people may find it cliche or cheesy, but it's true. I am a martial artist, and I'm trying to carry these morals and principles through my life. Like, sure, I don't want to do these chores. I don't want to clean the house, but it's like I gotta go through the motions. I gotta be disciplined. I gotta do it, and my kids are gonna see me do it.
And it's
things like that.
It's hard, especially when you think about being, going back to the creed in all areas of your life. I don't always reach that.
It's. I mean, nobody does.
Lying.
Nobody
I'd be
does.
lying if I said I am disciplined in all areas of my life.
I definitely don't.
You
No.
aspire to be like, it's like something you can aspire to do, but nobody's like iron, stone, like concrete in that. Like, it's just something you strive to. You strive to be as best you can be in all the areas.
Exactly.
You balance, but
Exactly. And actually, this is just kind of a side note. Kung Fu is technically pronounced Gung Fu with the G, not with the K.
Yeah.
Kung Fu.
And Kung Fu became more popularized, or the wording became more popularized, more so in the 1960s, 70s.
Was that just an American thing?
Yeah.
Yes,
We started kung fu.
kung fu movies.
Bruce Lee.
Okay,
You know,
Not to say the forbidden words, but yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, right.
We'll talk about it later, kids.
yeah, they're gonna
Don't-
get me
don't-
started.
Oh,
They're gonna get
Bruce
me
Lee?
started.
What?
Yeah, don't get me started. But you
Yeah.
know, so I mean, if you really think about it, we're technically pronouncing the name
Wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
Like good Americans.
karate.
Not
Karate?
to, not to like
Karate,
disrespect anybody,
taekwondo.
but like I told you, you know, and listeners, like I lived in Japan for a while. So, you know, the second language there, like here it's Spanish is like the secondary language, you know, it's like highly recommended you learn. And like over there, most people know English, at least enough to get by.
Mhm.
But we call it English. Cause it's it's terrible. They know enough, but like literally big billboards and signs have words that are just spelled completely wrong. Like, but they don't really know it. But it's I think that's kind of the same thing for us with this kung fu thing. It's just now it's the same thing, vice versa. If we try to learn another language, it's like we may not be pronouncing things properly.
Exactly right.
And with the Asian style languages, from my understanding, you can say the same word, but how you pronunciate it or emphasize it can mean something different.
Yes.
In-
So
in Chinese, a lot of times tone changes
Tone.
the meaning.
right.
You've seen the dash or the V or the arrow above a letter.
Yep.
That changes the tone, thus the meaning. Because I
Interesting.
think water, dreams, and something else are all SUI.
Hmm.
But
Sway.
whether it's
Sway.
sway or sway
Yeah.
changes it.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
for those of you that do speak Chinese, I know I butchered half of that, but
Yeah, of course. But
I'm
like
American. I'm sorry.
they also have that ear for it because they grew up hearing it. you know,
Exactly
so-
right. We don't. If you think about when when we're speaking English,
Mhm.
we
Like,
don't really use tone.
There.
Right.
You know, we
Yeah.
have 3 different spellings of it.
But we
you know?
use tone differently.
Yeah.
Like I can be like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
or
What's up?
or "What's up?"
What's
Art-
up?
Right.
Question.
Right.
our tone becomes connotational, where their tone becomes informational.
Right. Yes, that's a great way to describe
That
it.
is, yeah.
That's a
makes
really
sense.
good way to describe it. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's hard to understand Chinese because like I said, that is something that you have to learn through ingratiation. So like that whole tone thing, when I'm saying certain things in class, I don't even like to use the terms because I'm like, I am butchering this word
Right.
because
right.
I know I'm not getting this tone right.
Yeah.
That Southern accent. Comes
Oh my
through.
goodness.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Trying to be Southern Asian does not work.
My excuse was I always like, I barely speak English that well. You know, like growing up in South Carolina, it's pretty thick. Like my accent actually has disappeared a lot from being in the military. Like
Yeah.
being around all those people is like, even unconsciously, it's like I stop like hearing it as much. But then when I would like visit and come back home, I'd go back up with a thick accent. And it's not even like I'm trying to do it on purpose. So, you know, but yeah.
Mine's all about whether I'm tired or not.
Yeah, English is tough. I mean, people say that's one of the hardest to learn.
Well, you know what? If English is a tough language, then learning Kung Fu is like learning English.
There you go. Yeah, through algebra.
Oh
yeah,
my
it's like-
goodness. Because, get back on topic.
right.
Like, for what is good Kung Fu, learning Kung Fu is probably one of the most fulfilling but hardest things that I've ever done.
Well, that's because in the first place, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, for lack of a better metaphor, because you have to find a proper teacher.
Yeah,
That becomes the first thing: is
I've-
what is
I've-
good kung fu? Finding the proper
yeah,
instructor
And-
in the litany of,
yeah,
I'm just gonna say it, absolute shit that exists.
yeah.
It's hard.
It is. It's from my perspective, still being pretty new. It's like the couple years I've got so far. It's like I quickly realized just from coming here week after week, one of the things I like is you never tell people ahead of time like what we're doing today. And I feel like there's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is probably like there are so many different things to train.
Mhm.
So many different things to train. I'm still learning new stuff to train. Like, so
We both know the real reason why you don't do that.
Well, a big reason, and anybody who teaches will tell you,
I've seen your lesson plans.
when you give people, hey, we're gonna do this today, and you start giving them a itinerary, people will start to go, well, I don't want to do that today. So guess what? I'm not coming to class.
Yep.
I
can
saw
see
it.
that.
I tried it.
That makes sense.
And people like we're doing sparring today, and people be like, I don't want to spar,
I
so
don't
I
wanna
ain't coming to
today.
class. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like what?
I don't
it's like,
wanna.
As it relates to what we were saying, I kept losing my thought process. Like, so when you show up week after week after week after week for a year, it's like each one of those times when it relates to like a language, you're learning a word, one word, and you have to practice that. So it's like that's why it's so fulfilling. I think it's like there's so many different things to train.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of time and discipline to learn it.
Yeah.
And to
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu.
Kung
Right.
Fu. And piggyback off what Brian said, he's right. Finding a good and legit teacher. Let me
Yeah.
say that. Because some people are good teachers, but they're not legit. And what
Mhm.
I mean by legit, like they have actually studied Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Some people, will just
say it.
they do a good job of faking it.
Yeah.
They do.
The opposite's true too. I've met some people that are amazing practitioners, not just to say kung fu. I mean, in anything they do,
Right.
amazing at what they do. But you teach, they're just not good teachers.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah,
Well, teaching is a skill.
it is. It is a skill
Yeah.
in itself.
It's an important
Kung Fu.
skill.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
really want to try, and I guess that's what makes it so hard, that you want a good teacher that can do it, but also relay it.
Even more rare.
Yeah, that
Right.
makes it even rarer.
Walk the walk.
Right.
and-
Who can do it and relay it
Yeah. Yeah.
and make somebody be something that they're not.
You said this in a previous podcast. It's and you may not train this same person as the same way you train this person. You might even say the same things to these two different people to get the point across.
Right.
So that's something you have to recognize as a teacher, I feel like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And a good teacher who practices good kung fu may relay those skills in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, my first teacher, he was very old school in the way he taught. Water hose. I mean, like, we're coming to class, we're on it, we're doing this, and this. You got to keep up. You got to keep up. You got to keep up.
Yeah.
Oh, I zoned out for a second thinking about who this was, and it suddenly clicked. Sorry.
But guess what?
Yeah, no,
Some
he's
people
right.
learn that way,
Yeah.
and some
Yeah.
people, you just get thrown in the fire, and you sink or
Trial
swim.
by fire. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But what I have learned,
That's exactly what it was.
yeah,
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
you're gonna do this.
Hey, have you ever done this before? It's fine. Don't worry about it. He'll teach you later.
Yeah. Try it. Go. Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
You
Right.
can't do this. Stop. Sit over there. We're
I
gonna finish.
feel like that's effective for some people.
It is
For some, probably not.
right.
But
And then you have the other side of the coin, which, in my teaching, I have seen that more people nowadays, more modern people, need you to break it down more.
Yep.
They don't learn well with just, here it is. All
Yep.
right, now learn it.
Right.
Right. That doesn't work well for this type of, these type of people now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
This environment has changed things.
It has. It has. It
Yeah.
has.
The era we live in, all that. It's
Well, there was a certain amount of necessity back then. You had to learn this or potentially die.
That's true.
So there was a little bit different stakes involved, and I think that also matters.
That's true.
that created a need and a want to learn it.
That's true.
So, sometimes you get people that come in casually, maybe for more social kind of stuff too,
Mhm.
than like really dedicating all this time inside and outside of class to get better at this. They're just kind of,
And let's be honest, how many people, and you guys can attest to this, who have come, even to class here, and the martial arts is not their primary reason for being here. It's a secondary reason.
yeah,
Like you just said, social.
Yeah.
being social,
And some people do it even on the like physical
or just wanting to work out.
flex. Exactly.
I just want to work
And
out.
I'm a little like I love the kung fu, but that as far as kung fu goes, that's a big part of my own like internal kung fu is like the physical aspect. You
Right.
know? So, everybody's got their own reasons, but like I said, some people the actual martial art part of it may be secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it a ton, but I haven't been here as long, but I have
No, it's
kind of
it's-
noticed it.
It's
I've seen some people come and leave a little bit.
it is exactly like that.
Yeah.
You will see people who come in and they're like, "Hey, I just want to be here.
Right.
I want
Right.
to be involved.
Check you guys out,
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Can we be friends?"
And it's good to meet people and have a community. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not a bad thing.
And I've seen some people come in with a reason that's not martial arts and then become phenomenal martial artists.
Yeah.
And then it becomes their reason.
Yeah, maybe some people might not even, know anything about it. They just get their feet wet and then fall in love with it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I actually think I pissed a few people off when I was fencing because I was just doing it for fun,
Right.
but I was good at it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they didn't like that because they took it very seriously.
Yeah.
And I was just like, screw it. We're going to have fun.
Like, so you were probably like, oh, I'm just doing this for fun. And like, you were probably doing well.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, I'm working so hard. Why is he doing so
Well,
good? And, I'm not matching
Working hard is great. Doesn't always mean you're the best or you're better. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like hard
No.
work is necessary, but
There's the rule of life. There is always someone better.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's go to this direction. Okay. So we've been talking about hard work,
Hmm.
but
Because it is such a key component. To
it
Kung Fu.
is. But
Yeah.
when we think hard work, we think grueling. We
Right.
think,
And when this is a big one for me because when people hear the word hard work or they just hear the word work period, they think about their day job.
mm-hmm.
That's all they associate the word work with is their job. Work comes in many forms.
right.
Well-
Many forms because I left like my career so I could pursue my own goals and people's like, so you're not working. It's like, no, I'm working even harder. I'm not making as much money, but I'm working harder. You know what I mean?
That's because think about the general person in the world now.
Working 9 to 5 jobs, freaking
What is-
zombie.
What
Mhm.
does work mean to them? They don't do any other kind of work.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Working on yourself, your relationships, your who knows what, communication,
yeah,
your
but
skills,
most
your
people-
physical,
Let's be really honest. We have
mental health.
an obesity problem. We have a divorce rate problem.
Technology.
We
Mhm.
have
Social media.
technology. We
Mhm.
have video games.
Yep.
Trust me, I play them. I know.
Yep. Likewise.
But people don't go home and be like, okay, well, I got to go work out for 4 hours.
Meditate or stretch or
I got to go.
clear my
I
head.
got to go learn how to do this because I want to be a smarter person. So I got to work it and study. And they don't do that.
There's a
Do
saying.
you know what my pile of books that I need to read looks like right now?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
I got a
taller
lot
than
too.
I am.
I got a lot, too.
Yeah, I'm really guilty of that right now.
Thank
like-
God for audiobooks, or I'd be screwed.
There's also a saying about if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
I'm
So-
sorry. I'm gonna no. That's
I don't always
bullshit.
I don't always agree with it either because even if it's something you love, like me with guitar, right? I love it, and a lot of people hit a plateau on it, right? They'll get pretty good, and then they'll be at that same level because they don't sit down and like pick songs and stuff that they're not able to do immediately, like or the music theory side of it. So you have to pick these things you're not good at and work on those, like doubling down on your weaknesses, kind of thing. So there's
It's
still
almost
work
like you have to
involved.
continue to work so that
Right.
you know. The only difference is now it's fulfilling because you get that
Right.
I have conquered feeling.
Yeah, you're good at something now. Like another example, right? I've been doing this still a short amount of time, but say something I'm good at. Like I pick something like maybe I think I'm good at like say a nice combo with my hands, a 1-2, but what's something I'm not good at, right? Like spinning hook kick,
Mm-hmm.
So I need to work on that.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what you're going to be doing for the next hour and a half.
There you go. So that's work. Still takes work.
But here's the thing, and I think both of you are right.
Yeah.
I can be working on something and still enjoy it, and it doesn't seem like work.
Yep.
And then I can work on something that I don't like, and it is still work. So
Yep.
you can have both. Both things can be true.
I try to stand by the rule of enjoy the process. You
Yeah.
know, because in order to get things you want, you got to do things you don't want to do. Always the case in my experience.
Yeah.
So
Like,
Yeah.
just enjoy it.
you know, like, so
I want a clean house. I don't want to wash. You know, I don't
No,
wash
who wants
dishes
to-
or my
let-
wife usually
let's
does
talk
it.
about
but,
this good
you
kung
know,
fu, right? You want good kung fu? You know what you're gonna need? Stance work. Who wants to sit in a stance?
yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Your legs need to scream
You
for
know,
a while.
Right.
That
Right.
is a suck
sucks.
portion of training. It is.
Yeah.
But to be good, you need it.
There you go.
Sitting dragon stance.
Oh my goodness! Like,
Yep.
you know,
Did you hear my knee shatter?
listen.
It sucks.
I
but
know you were on
sometimes
the
you
other
gotta-
side of the room, but
Oh. It sucks.
there's
but
a
some-
reason I said that hurt.
Sometimes you just like, you know, that may be a part of it you don't really like, but it's like part of the process. So just, you know, you do it, you suck it up, you try to enjoy it best you can. It's like you may not be enjoying it that moment, but you know.
No, I did not.
So to get good kung fu,
Yeah.
I'm gonna specify this quote for our YouTubers and for you guys, and this is the thing that I think epitomizes that. You must eat bitter to taste sweet.
Oh.
I like that.
So,
I know it was.
perfect.
I know this wasn't, but it was. Jet Li said that in a movie. Where did it really come from? Do you know?
I really don't know.
Okay.
I think it's just an old, Chinese proverb.
I
Chinese
really like that.
proverb number 995.
Exactly.
That's a perfect shorter way of saying, like, you know, that's what I always say is like, in order to do things or to get things you want, you gotta do
You
things
gotta do things you don't want to do.
to taste, you know.
And
Gotta eat bitter to taste
a
sweet.
lot of times,
It's great.
I think everybody has experienced this. When you're first learning a martial art, there's that bitter period where you go, ugh, it's fun, but this
Right.
kind of sucks right now. This is
Yeah.
not.
What he means
What I
by bitter
expected.
is the pain that your body is going to be in
Mm-hmm.
on
know,
a nightly basis.
Maybe
as
you're
you
not
walk
flexible,
home.
so you're having to work the flexibility. You're not strong, or you're not
Yeah.
fast, or whatever is skill that you don't have at the moment that you're trying to develop.
This actually happened to me recently. It's just a quick, not even a story. It's just a point to make. Is like I've been sore many times for years from working out, but there was a time just a few months ago, and I've stretched a lot. You know what I mean? Not enough, but I'm getting more into stretching now. This was the first time I'd been very sore from just stretching. So I don't know if I overdid it or if I actually did it right for a
Mhm,
change
mhm.
because I'm working on my flexibility. So I really pushed it and I was hurting. Like it was like a workout soreness, but different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it lasted though. So, you know, that was one of those things to relate it to our topics. Like I'm sure you get people that come in and maybe get a taste and they're all happy go lucky. And then one day it's like, it could be sparring or it could be working out or something. Then it's like, oh, that sucked.
Yeah.
Like, I might not come back.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
so
A lot don't.
perseverance, you know.
And I think that's the hardest thing about running a martial arts school in general, because there's going to be that time where it's like, well, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
And we got to do this to get
Yep.
better.
Yep. You've said it. You've said it before. You're too nice. Like it's just the era we live in, you know. It's like I feel like in some ways it's true, but like it doesn't mean you're always too nice. You got to put people through the motions
You do.
sometimes. You got to, work them, make
You
them
do.
sweat.
You do. You know?
Because you want to teach them good kung fu. Like
Well, and good kung fu should develop a disciplined mindset.
yeah.
You know, how hard is it to
That's
go?
a word that we need to define a little bit
my
better, I
favorite
think,
word.
for this.
Well,
That's my favorite word.
well, you think about it. If we're gonna be okay, why would I? This is the way I think about discipline. Somebody gives me a plate of poo
Yeah.
and says, "You're gonna eat that, and you're gonna like it." You know what I'm saying? That's the way I think about discipline.
Right.
That
Right.
plate of poo right there, you're gonna eat that, and you're gonna like it, and you got to do it every single time. And it's kind of like, I mean, think about the things that we don't want to do. Who wants to get up every day and go to work?
Right.
You don't want to get up
God.
every day and go to work.
No.
Nobody wants to do that. But guess
No.
what? We do it because
do
we
it.
have to do it.
Only
We-
because
we
we
j-
like living indoors.
We justify.
Well, that's
it,
true
dude.
too.
We always justify our things that we do too. You know what I mean? There's always a reasoning, or it's like we wouldn't do it. And people always say like, I love the saying when people's like, I don't have time. It's like, no, you just don't want to.
Yeah, that's
Simple as that.
Just say that.
It is simple as that. People make all the excuses in the world. I work this many hours. I have these responsibilities and bills and family and yada, yada, yada. Everybody does. Who are you talking to? You're preaching to the choir. It's the fact that you don't want to. If you wanted to bad enough, you're going to make time.
You will.
Simple
Side
as
note,
that.
This works for relationships too, kids.
Yep. Relationships.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not to go off topic, but that's
Yeah.
very true for
a simple phone call or hanging out with a friend. It can be as simple as that. It's like you don't
want to
see
know who
'em.
your real friends are, who your
Yeah.
real relationship is?
Yeah.
Which one takes the time to talk to you?
Right. A simple like talk to you.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? And I'm just busy. It's like, no, you're not
No.
that busy.
You
You're
just
not
don't
that
want to
busy.
talk to me, and
Right.
and you know,
I am not high on the needs list, so
right.
I'm gonna
Not-
see you later,
and
man.
and to piggyback off of going back to what is kung fu and a good teacher won't lie to you.
Mm,
A good teacher will tell you what you need. They'll be tactful about it.
yeah.
And sometimes they may.
Sometimes.
I was about to say,
Sometimes.
sometimes they'll just tell you like it is.
You suck.
I'm
Go
a-
do it again.
I'm a pretty firm believer in hard truths.
You know?
I mean, I think it's up to every individual to face those hard truths themselves, but some people can't.
I
Some
just
people
like
don't.
that word. It's not a hard truth. It is the truth.
It's
You
the
just have
truth.
a hard time accepting
Yeah.
it.
That's why I think that's why they say that. Yeah.
No, but you're
Yeah.
setting it up like the truth is somehow hard to tell.
Right.
No, it's not.
It's just the truth.
Tell the truth.
Yeah.
You know what made me have a tough skin? Martial arts.
Yeah.
When my teacher would come to me and just basically be like, "No, that sucks. That's not good enough. Do it again."
It's kind of like a
You know-
smack in the face.
You know
It
what I
can
mean?
be.
Like it's not.
Oh,
like,
is that
you
where
know,
I get that from?
You know, it was
Yeah.
like, man, that's ooh. You know, and you
Garbage.
think, and you've been working it and working it and working
That's
it.
what makes it bad when you have really worked at it and you're starting to get a little confidence in it. It's like
and
I've
he
been
walks
working
up and he gives you that
terrible.
look.
Like, dang.
Right, you
Like-
know what I mean?
That
You
sucks.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that look.
But there's that, like I say, there's that poo plate.
Yep.
You're gonna eat that.
Eat it.
You know what I mean?
Eat it.
You gotta eat it.
Yep.
And you keep coming back, and you keep coming back.
It's going to start. One day it's got to go down
Well,
smoother.
well, you
It
know,
has to.
No.
One day it's gonna taste like chicken.
No.
One day
It may
it's
not
gonna
go down
taste good.
smoother, but you're used to it.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least, like,
Yes.
you know, like,
Yeah, you know. But
yeah, it ain't going to taste like chicken, but.
I can tell you, here we are, what, 16 years later, 15 years later? It
It's-
don't taste any better.
Yeah,
listen.
yeah,
but
yeah.
you know what? But you can take it better.
You can, yeah.
And I think you start to take what like those people say or what you know somebody says. Now, when this person says this to you, it should be from a caring aspect,
Yeah.
Theoretically.
not being a butthole. Because there's people who just buttholes who just want to just tear you down because
Oh, yeah.
you know
Yeah,
they
there he
can.
is right there.
You know, but when somebody's giving you constructive criticism that's going to
Yeah.
help it make you better,
Yeah.
that's different.
Right.
It
you
will
know.
make you better. It will make you
Yep.
strong.
You know,
Especially when it's coming from somebody who you, I don't know the best word for it, but somebody you kind of trust or just somebody you have confidence in, like
The term I would say is respect.
respect. Yeah. Yeah. Respect. That'd
Yeah.
be a good term.
I would
for
agree
it.
with that.
Yeah. If it's somebody you respect and it's coming from them, you're going to listen more.
Right.
Like I tell people all the time, when I hear people, these words come out of somebody's mouth, I quit listening. But if they're the do as I say, not as I do, I'm not listening to you. Like I'm not going to take any advice from you. If you're not following your own advice, you're just, I don't cuss on here, but you're talking out of your behind.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
like you should just shut up right there. You know what I mean? Like I grew up around people drinking and smoking, and they're like, "Don't start smoking, don't start drinking." You know, like I'd be like, "Well, you're doing it." And
Well,
it's
they
like,
got a big
do
Bud
as I
Light.
do as I say,
and
not
got
as
a black
I do.
in their
and it's
mouth while
like,
they're telling you that. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. And it's like, shut the heck up.
Yeah.
Either quit smoking and quit drinking, or quit talking to me about that. Like you got no room to talk. You know,
So, guys,
that was my thought.
do you have anything before we go to commercial break?
Well, I want to talk about one thing really quickly
Go
because
for it.
we did not get into this part, and I'm looking at this, and it's a really important part. We didn't get into the physical. I mean, we touched on it, but I do want to say there is something about kung fu that we need to cover, and that's the physical aspects. It's
Oh,
more than just
yeah.
looking pretty,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also more than just fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to strike that ground because ages ago, when the world was young and Kung Fu was born, they made these specific moves for training.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you were going to fight with them, but they changed when you were going to fight with them. But you still need to remember how they were done originally. That's part of the game, kids.
Mm.
It has to all be together.
Yeah.
Because part of Kung Fu that we really don't even list on this little sheet is honoring the past.
Yeah.
So that is a huge topic
Yeah.
that could be his own podcast.
I know, but we need to at least mention it here because that is part of good Kung Fu.
My quick tidbit on the physical part, not to drag it out, but is like, to put it simply, it's like we talk about technique trumps all, and I'm a believer in that. But if you're so out of shape,
Hey, no, I'm kidding.
not like I'm just saying, if you're so bad off and you're not taking care of you, that's part of your Kung Fu.
Mm-hmm.
Your technique gets sloppy.
It does.
It's
Or
you
you're
know,
not able to perform certain movements the right way.
right.
And so
Right.
then when you're teaching a student, okay, I mean, hey, I've gained weight. I have,
It's, I mean, we're all human. We're all human as long but we're training. But it's like if someone it's pretty. It becomes clear when somebody's not training. Like you could take somebody who got really great, and then they say they stop for years and years and years and just let themselves kind of go, and then they come back and try to teach it.
Now I'm seeing why they wanted me to come.
No, so for me, I remember at one point I was really skinny. And of course, as I've aged, I've gained weight.
Right.
I've also realized that there are certain things that I understand that I need to be able to do to teach appropriately and still have good Kung Fu.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I am not able to do certain things a certain type of way, then that's an issue that I need to handle because then
Right.
I am not a good teacher
Right.
and I will not teach good Kung Fu.
It's affecting your Kung Fu.
Right. It's
Yeah.
affecting my Kung Fu, which affects your Kung Fu if you're learning from me.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so you have to be at a certain skill, health,
Mm-hmm.
mental, moral
Wait
level.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Are you saying that as the teacher, you should be held to a higher regard than your students?
You should,
You
but
should.
unfortunately, what happens to a lot of these people who do martial arts is they feel like, oh, I've reached the mountaintop. And so,
and they stop.
and
And
they
I am
stop.
They
king
start
of
going
the
down the other
mountain.
side.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they start going down the other side.
Or like Brian said, I am king of the mountain
Mm.
and I've gotten here and you got to get where I am. So I don't have to do what you do anymore
You've
because
seen
you're trying
Judge-
to be like me.
You've
Right.
seen Judge Dredd? I am the law, and you will listen to me.
yeah.
Yeah, we've experienced that.
Right.
I'm not naming names.
Yes, that's true.
They
We
get,
have.
I think the teacher can get in that kind of, if they get in that kind of mindset, they eventually, if they're not staying on top of their own training, eventually,
You catch up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
you know,
Right. And of course you want your students to be better than you, but you need to have a certain aspect where you are still the teacher.
this isn't just physical. I think this is just part of it in general, but it's about we talked about this at our seminar Saturday, but it's like a lifelong path of bettering yourself.
Yes.
It doesn't end. I mean,
No.
there's one finish line, eventually, but until then, we should be working to get better.
Right. For those of you weebs and nerds out there, this is a real MMO. All right.
Right.
Really?
I mean, it's true. Think about it.
Really?
Right. We get our stat boost.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't play them, but I at least know what it is.
Look,
Right, you know.
look, I want a new character.
Right.
This one was defective.
we can technically make ourselves into new characters.
Right.
We can do
Right.
that. So, I mean, we
Con-
are
Always leveling up.
solo
Where's-
solo leveling.
Where's the weight toggle?
Solo leveling, For you
Yeah.
anime nerds out there, we are technically Sung Jin Woo in our own self-right. And so we are solo leveling. And the way we're doing this is through our Kung Fu.
Yeah.
So, and the thing about good Kung Fu is good Kung Fu should affect every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good Kung Fu affects the physical, the mental, the spiritual,
Mhm.
and a lot of people feel like when they
Discipline.
hear Kung Fu and they hear spiritual, oh, you're worshiping. No, you're not worshiping
Right.
anybody. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a Christian. But I understand that this is helping me in a spiritual way in some respects
Yep.
because what I'm doing creates discipline, and not only does it create physical discipline, it creates mental discipline and spiritual discipline.
Yep.
So those things are good for us, no matter what you do. I mean, think about it. As human beings, depending on what you believe, most of us believe we have 3 parts, and we're developing those 3 parts. And this
Mind, body, spirit.
right, this thing that we're doing is helping develop that mind, body, spirit.
Yep. And I believe it. I think we're actually getting into that after a break. Some of
I
the mental,
know,
because
so-
that's as what you was just talking about. Is like some of
Yes.
that mental stuff.
I
is
didn't want to
like-
go too far ahead, but it just kind of popped in my head, and I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that we kind of touched on that, because I think, like you just said, physical. Sometimes people just think physical, and it's not just
Right.
physical.
There's always more to it than that. But yeah, let's take a little bit of a break,
Yeah.
and then we'll beat them over the head with the mental part.
I'm
Right.
sorry, guys. We
I was
get
about to start.
excited. We get excited. Let's take a break. We got to pay some bills.
Yes, sir.
Hey, guys. And I want to just talk about this book here, Spooktacular by David Garcia. And for those of you who don't know who David is,
Why does that name sound familiar?
David was
I know.
was once a student here at the Northern Shaolin School of Kung Fu, and David now is a very successful individual in the military. Thank you for serving our country. And he has actually created this coloring book named Spooktacular, and I bought a copy, and I just want to let everybody know that you can find this on Amazon if you look it up, and it's a neat coloring book that has some really cool artwork in it that David has drawn himself that you can use. And if you have a loved one in your life, or a child,
yeah.
or if you just like coloring, it's got some really neat artwork in it that you can just kind of have fun with.
That's
So
awesome.
go on Amazon, support David. He is a great young man. He's awesome. He comes back to visit with us, and we actually just spoke with him recently. He's doing quite well. So again, Spooktacular, look it up on Amazon.
And David, come back and see us now.
And welcome back to Martial Mentality. So I want to really get into this because, to me, this is a big part of good Kung Fu. Let's talk about the morality, the integrity, and the ethics of being a martial artist.
There's that word again.
So we're talking about Kung Fu. Obviously, we've said that, hey, Kung Fu is beyond just the physical aspect. And what I have seen more so now than ever, especially with the introduction of more violent,
Yeah.
intensive combat sports, is we're so focused on the physical aspect, the mental training of the athletes, that sometimes we're not developing the character of the individuals anymore. We just care about what you can do.
You
Yeah.
know, I really thought you were going to start a different way with that.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
Considering the conversation we had after the seminar Saturday, I really thought you were going to go a different direction.
I just want to say that, unfortunately, a lot of people do not develop their character.
Yeah.
They develop their physical skills. They'll even be mentally strong,
Yeah.
but they can just be
Morally vacuous?
oh my goodness, just
That's a good
it's
word.
like, man, like
There's your dictionary word for the day.
Look it up.
And
Yeah.
so let's think of it like this. Joe, if you knew somebody had questionable moral compass, would you give them a gun?
No.
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 Would you want them to teach your children?
No. I won't. No.
And a lot of people would probably say the same thing that you're saying.
Right.
So what we have in the martial arts community is we have a lot of people who are not practicing good moral values.
Yeah.
They are not being good influence on the next generation because they don't practice integrity.
Yeah.
They're not practicing the Wu Di. So Wu Di is martial ethics.
Okay.
And granted, if you want to be technical about it, yes, martial arts never really had those things, and it was about fighting and killing, and
That was
that's
kind
what
of
it is.
that was kind of a design for all of the schools when they were in Hong Kong and all, was it not? Is that not where that came from?
Well,
Where they kind of established that we're all gonna have a certain honor system.
It kind of started to change more so towards modern times. I would probably say the late 19th, early 20th century. You're starting to see. I mean, because if you go back in the history of martial arts, you see a lot of gangs. See
Right.
a lot of
The triad.
triads, military things of that nature. It started to kind of turn during the modernization of just the world in general.
I mean,
Because think about it, you're teaching children,
Yeah.
you know, and
Excuse me, sorry.
and let's think about marketing
Yeah.
to people like and keeping and going back to what you said.
well,
Hey, we're from rival systems.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? We're gonna have an honor code. Look, I treat you with respect. You treat me with respect. We don't kill each other.
that's where
Right.
I was going.
We
with-
stay
even
alive.
when it was,
Right.
even when it was the triads still had a certain code that they followed.
Yeah.
Be that however minor it may be.
Right.
I think what taught me this was being on the ship with people out in the ocean, because you got to work with these people regardless if you like them or not. I about got into it with a guy. Like, it was the middle of the night and it was just me and him in the space, and it almost got to the point of exchanging blows, and I think it went through both of our heads like, God, like, this is going to be bad if we do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not to mention the fighter getting hurt. It's like it's going to be a long next few months of getting in trouble and having to, like, we're literally the two people who like exchange. Like, I'm on watch in the middle of the night and he relieves me, and then the next night it's like vice versa. It's like I see him every day, so it's like we got to let this go.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's not worth it.
I take a pretty hard stance on this in any position in leadership. You have to have the morality and integrity far and above the other, especially your subordinates.
Yeah.
And yeah, it being a requirement, it being a kind of indication of good kung fu it really narrows down the list.
Yeah.
Let's say it that
Yeah.
way.
We said earlier too, like, work comes in many forms, strength comes in many forms, and sometimes that's just being the guy that walks away.
A lot of times strength is not even the physical.
Yes.
Let me rephrase. The strongest forms of strength is not the physical.
Right.
It's
Yep.
the mental, moral, emotional.
Right. How to navigate that stuff too. Yeah.
And I
For sure.
think as people who are in leadership, that can be so hard because we live in a society of people who like to test you.
Yeah.
I mean, so there is
Yeah.
a spirit of challenge
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah.
And
Mainly now it's on the internet.
That's not even a real form of challenge.
No, it's not.
That's just
People treat it as such though.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like you're wasting your time if you are though. Like, why you even pay attention to that?
I have a
stuff?
guy who has attacked me on the internet for years.
It's
good
like-
old Rory.
Yes.
I
And,
refuse to use his other name.
and he will never show his face.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this, which I hope you are, because I hope you like, share, and subscribe.
Probably not, because I used his real name.
I mean, he will never just be a man and just, hey, you know what? You got an issue with me. Come say it to my face.
Right.
Come talk to me about it.
Yeah.
I would respect you more
Yeah.
if you did that. But no,
Let's be honest.
you want to hide behind your keyboard because a lot of people do that now.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't get to me.
the
'cause
screen is my shield.
This is my
And
shield.
Confrontation isn't always fighting either. Confrontation can be a disagreement, and
Mhm.
people don't even know how to handle that anymore.
Yes.
You know,
Look,
if somebody's like, I disagree, it's like, oh my God,
You're
like,
my
impossible.
enemy.
yeah, like
Cancel.
this is it's the end of the world. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you can disagree on stuff. You know.
We as a populace have forgotten how to disagree and still coexist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll make a comment, not to get too personal, but me and my wife don't necessarily have the same, like, this is insane for anybody to fathom, I know, but we don't even have the same political or like religious views. It has never really affected our relationship.
Oh my
Ever.
God. How are you still married? How long has it
Right?
been?
We've been married almost 10 years.
How has it been 10
That's
years and you're still
impressive.
married? No.
That stuff just doesn't bother us. We don't care about it enough to like let it influence us. Like, I'm not saying I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, I do care about.
But
Like,
you
I've got my
understand,
own like religion and everything, but like,
you understand that her opinions are her opinions.
exactly.
And that at the end of the day, she still loves you, whether or not you agree.
Exactly.
Can we use that magical word called respect?
Yeah. Right.
You
It doesn't
respect each
exist.
other.
Yep.
It's an
If you put
illusion.
respect first, the other stuff falls into place.
It
It's
should.
simple as that. Like, yeah,
It should.
it should. Yeah.
and here's the thing: when you are teaching, not just kids but anybody,
I want to touch on something else too. Finish what you were going to say.
you need to make sure that, in my opinion, okay, other people feel differently.
Oh, you got an opinion?
I have an opinion. Yeah.
No.
Is it different than mine?
It may be.
Shun.
Cancel.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you are teaching your students applicable martial arts. It needs to work.
Mhm.
It needs to be effective. But it also needs to be governed by smart moral compass to not use your martial arts to become villain.
Bully.
So
A bully.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because that steers into what I was going to say. We've been talking about this a lot from the teacher's aspect. We need a good teacher, somebody who knows what they're doing. We need a teacher who's moral, who has integrity, who knows what the word ethics means and can apply it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm making some digs at some people.
No.
Sorry.
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Yeah.
But that also applies to the student when
Yep.
they learn this, to not be like, okay, I'm a badass and now I'm going to go beat the crap out of 37 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Remember that kid that bullied me when I was 15? Well, now he's getting an ass whooping.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe, you're going to be busy tonight.
All good.
And there's people who do that. They'll come into martial arts school and then maybe they have good intentions in the beginning and then it warps them into what they maybe didn't want to become.
Yeah.
I've seen that too.
Now I'm dangerous.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Now I can be the bully.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm just remembering Darkwing. Let's get dangerous.
First off, you're aging yourself because half the people watching this
They probably don't even know.
don't even know who Darkwing Duck is, probably.
Oh, man.
You
Old
know?
cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Old
gotcha.
cartoon.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, and you're right. Where maybe you're the person being bullied, or maybe you're the person who was being the victim, and then you become.
Or worse yet, you're the. I say worse. Or you are the bully to be better at bullying.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
people
true
do that too.
Yeah.
I've seen that too.
Right.
I'm gonna be better at bullying, so I guess what I'm gonna learn how to beat people up
Mhm.
because I can do it now.
Yep.
And so, yeah, and it becomes a really slippery slope because I understand that when people come through your school, you try not to judge anybody.
Right. Right.
But
But you also know.
oh yeah, you'll see certain people where you go, that guy ain't got good intentions,
Yep.
and sometimes
Usually
you
it
have
shows.
to be,
It
yeah,
starts to show.
and you have to be careful
eventually.
about that.
Right.
We've seen. Let's say this. I'm sure most of us have seen somebody in some session of sparring who you're like, I think that guy likes to hurt people.
Probably when they were fighting me. No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean I've seen it where it's like that guy likes to hurt people. He just likes to hurt people. He doesn't
So-
care. He just likes to hurt people, and he's just getting a rise out of this. It's almost sociopathic in some respects.
No,
Right.
it is.
Right.
So I'll tell you a slightly adjacent story. Since you've thrown out my law enforcement background from ages ago, they used to, a bunch of instructors will tell you this. Do you want to know who is the best person to pick out future criminals and murderers?
Mm-mm.
First and second grade teachers.
Really?
No joke.
Wow. I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
The elementary school teacher, some of the best ones at picking out who's going to be the problem child in the coming days.
So it really does start when you're young.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
All the more reason you need your teachers.
I remember being like,
Look at me looping that back in.
That's a good way to loop it in.
remember like being kids, and you would always like point other kids out, like he's gonna be a freaking serial killer. Or, like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, hopefully, knock on wood, it never be true, but it's like they got that trait about them. It's like just off, or it's like, or they may hurt somebody and just no kind of remorse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, yeah, I don't know. I've had a couple instances where like I've like somebody get hurt and I feel like it's my fault. Like I just feel awful.
Yeah.
I feel terrible.
You know, I don't think it's an inherent human
Well,
trait.
There are people who develop the ability to turn that off
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because there are certain jobs and professions in the world that require you to be able to flip that off for a little while and
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
go get things done and
Right.
then come back.
I feel like it's situational. Like in situations where you have to turn it off, you develop that skill. But it's like an accidental like.
Oh yeah, when
like,
we're sparring,
let's take sparring for an example or a drill, right?
Mhm.
I've gotten used to the point where it's like I am perfectly fine punching somebody.
Right.
I'm okay with that, and I feel like in training you should.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to learn otherwise.
Yeah.
correct.
But like sparring where I like maybe hit too hard, or maybe in my head I thought it was too hard, or we some like trips or something accidental happens. You get those kind of accidents or freak accidents, and somebody's like, "Ow, like that hurt." It's like
Mhm.
those I feel bad about. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's
Like, which
fair.
hasn't really happened a lot. Like, but I'm just saying, like,
I'll
he
say
says
this.
that having rolled my ankle the last time.
So-
we sparred.
there was that, yeah. So
Thanks.
you
No,
know
I'm kidding.
that
It's
sucks.
fine.
You know,
You know, I'll say this, and I know, you talked about wanting to do lay tie. Okay. I think that, having levels of training that can train those skills is good. So, okay, you're doing regular sparring in the school. Usually you're not trying to knock each other out.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, you get into an MMA bout or you get into a lay tie, bout. Okay.
you better not hold back.
Then you better not
now,
hold back.
Now the rules have changed.
But
Right.
but here's the thing. Just because you are trying to accomplish that goal doesn't mean you have to be malicious
Exactly.
about
That's the word.
doing that.
That's the word.
So that's the difference. Like I can say, okay, well, I'm trying to knock this guy out, but I'm not maliciously trying to.
I want to.
I don't want
him
him
in
to
a-
laugh. I don't
break
want
his-
the injury to last.
Yeah, I don't
wanna
want to
break
make
his
him. I don't
bones
want to
or-
make him a vegetable. For the
malicious
rest of
is
his
the
life.
word. Like I feel like kids need to start to learn that word. Malicious, that's bad intentions. That means you want to do damage. It's not like I want to just win the fight.
Right.
No, I want to like
I want to
hurt
crush
this
him.
person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want this person to be.
It doesn't just apply to fighting. It's like lying, cheating, stealing. It's like
Mhm.
intentionally doing something bad like
Right,
that.
right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Which is funny because martial arts being what it is, we talk about having a code, having integrity. What is one of the key factors for martial arts?
Respect. Is that
Deception.
deception?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If
Mm.
you're a good martial artist, you're usually very deceptive.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
my favorite quotes from one movie. So, you ever watch a movie called Forbidden Kingdom?
Jet Li?
And Jackie Chan.
And Jackie Chan are both in
I
it.
know what you're talking about.
This is
It's been a while.
also where they use the line "must taste bitter before sweet."
Oh, okay. I gotta go back and rewatch
You know,
it.
and the villain talks about this. He's right. Deception is a part of martial arts. And I listened to that and I'm like, he's right. If you really think about some of the best combatants in the world, they're so deceptive.
That's also in Marco Polo. One hand lies, the
My-
other
The
one
other
tells the truth.
My
Yes.
go-to move when I spar with somebody is
Is
just a
deception.
deception. It's like kick them, do the thigh check, and if they drop their hands, I do it immediately again. I punch them in the face. You know?
My entire repertoire is deception.
Right.
But-
right.
Let's look at how we're using that deception.
Right.
We're using that deception to gain an advantage.
Yeah.
We're not using that deception to intentionally try to hurt you in that
Right.
respect. I'm not
Right.
malicious with the deception.
Right.
I mean, it's a fight.
It's true.
It's a controlled fight, mind you, because it's
Control
sparring.
fight. Yeah. It's
But
not like
if
I'm
I
doing
take
it and then
that-
gouging them in the eye. and
Yes.
freaking hitting
But
the
if I
throat.
take that situation, if I take it out of sparring and put it in, you're getting mugged. Guess what?
Yeah. It's still not.
You're
that
not
wouldn't-
trying not to hurt them
that
anymore.
would still not be considered, in my opinion. That's still not considered malicious. That's justified.
What's
you
the
have
difference?
you've got a reason to do it now.
But it's still bottom line.
You want to hurt them, but you
Just
there-
because-
Okay, here's the thing though. You got mugged. Okay, let's take it level by level, right? Somebody threatened you.
Hold on. Let me push my point, and then
Right.
I'll let you go. with it.
Gotcha.
So you're saying it's justified. As in, humans find reasons to justify their actions. That doesn't change the fact that the action is
Yeah, hurting him or
what it is.
is what it is. Yeah, there's levels to it though. That's what I was kind of getting at. Like, you were in law enforcement, like in the military, it's the same thing. They talk about the minimum force necessary. So
Right.
if you go over that, that's when it turns malicious.
Mhm.
Like, a guy threatened me, I shot him.
Yeah,
that's malicious.
That's overkill.
Overkill, exactly. Like, there's levels to it. Now he's like putting his hands on me. I get to do the same. It doesn't mean I need to break his neck
right,
or gouge his eye
right,
immediately,
right.
but he pulls a knife out.
Now I
I'ma
can pull
shoot
out.
him. I can
Now I
shoot
can
him.
pull out my gun.
Yes, exactly.
It's the +1.
Right.
You know, and I think that's what people have missed because
It's escalation. Oh
it's
no.
the-
Right.
I mean, now we're teaching this mentality in martial arts: win, 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 win. I don't care how you win. Just destroy that person. Destroy. You
Right.
know. And I'm not trying to call out MMA or anything like
Right.
that, but you see it a lot in MMA. Just whatever. Do whatever you got to do.
Right.
And I understand that you're trying to win that bout.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I will call out MMA on this because I want to know if it's true. Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't MMA, specifically UFC, give higher rewards for the more headshots that they give?
I'm not sure.
don't know.
That's a
I
good
do
question.
believe I heard this one time. I
Interesting.
want to know if it's true, and if you do know, please comment and say,
Yeah.
yes, it's true, or Brian, you're insane. Both are
Because
true.
they got like the pound for pound.
But
You
I
know.
do
I don't know
remem-
if they'd be more money for that though or not.
I do remember seeing this somewhere. I don't remember where, but it was talking about, isn't Dana White the
Mhm.
UFC?
Yeah, he
They
is.
talked about Dana White offering $10,000 for every extra hit they got while they were on the ground.
I don't know.
They have a well, I don't know if that's about ground fighting, but they have some kind of like pound for pound rank, just like boxing. Like,
Mhm.
No, this was like whoever was like, if I knock you on the ground and I'm winning,
yeah,
every one of those. That's why they would go in after those extra punches
interesting.
that you see all the fighters do,
Yeah.
because it was like, let's get some money, kids.
Well, there's
because
a whole
they wanted to
there-
make it more interesting.
there's an entertainment factor there though.
Which is
Right.
a whole nother problem because it sounds
There's a whole
way too
moral-
much like Roman gladiator fighting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine that?
Oh, see, that's that's
That's next
brutal.
level. Yeah.
You
You are
know?
fighting to the death.
I'm sorry. Do we not watch people beat themselves bloody
We
Yeah.
do.
in
And
a ring
and-
that's
and
half the size?
the thing is, I think
Yeah.
that and you're starting to see it more in certain sports. Like football's doing a good job of trying to keep the sport intense, but tame it down because people were just getting
Getting hurt. yeah.
hurt really bad. And I mean,
Right.
people still get hurt really bad. And so,
Kids in high school get hurt. I mean,
Here's
there's a kid
another-
in mine broke his femur.
Here's
Like,
another
you know.
random trivia fact for you, because I just know this random stuff. What's hilarious to me is American football, because I have to differentiate for this explanation. Injuries, equipment, expensive, all kinds of head injuries, all kinds of permanent injuries.
Yeah.
What do they play in Australia?
rugby.
Do you know they don't have half the injuries?
That's crazy.
It's weird.
They
isn't
don't
it?
even, I think it's like 10%.
Why? Is it the it
And
can't
they
be
don't-
competitiveness. That's
and
the
they
wrong
don't
word because they're
use the
competitive.
gear.
Well, unfortunately, I think the gear gives people oh, I can hit you harder.
I was in
But that's the thing. They
Yeah.
still go as hard.
I was in boot camp with this kid from Oklahoma. He's a big kid. He was big into football, but he would literally tell you, he's like, my favorite thing to do in football was just straight up going head to head with somebody. I mean,
That's
like a
wild,
ram.
man.
Yeah. but
I think the equipment is actually what makes it so dangerous.
it could be like
I can see that.
Because there's
confidence.
no, it's not the confidence. It's literally the equipment. There's no,
like
that stuff's armor, but you throw armor at a person.
Well, interesting fact. If you actually don't quote me on this, so don't crucify me out here. But like I looked and saw that, a lot of people look at boxing gloves and they say, "Oh, well, these are safer."
yep. Oh man, I was showing a guy.
They're weighted. Never mind.
I was showing a guy some of the Lei Tai stuff on YouTube the other day, and the first thing he said was, "Oh, you're protected. You got that headgear on and everything." And I was like, I've been doing it, I think, long enough now to know, like, the headgear, it helps your nose from getting broke. and it helps from getting cuts. You can get knocked out
Oh,
just
so
as
easy.
Oh.
Just as easy.
I have dropped people
Right.
in headgear,
Right. It's about
not
the sa-
intending to.
As far as a knockout goes, I feel like it maybe helps
A little bit, right?
a little, but mainly cuts in your nose.
So
That's
you know the open face gear that a lot of karate wear.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people think, oh, that's to protect your head when you're getting punched. No, what it was they started making people wear that, so when they fell on the ground, it gave them some kind of cushion.
Ah,
They didn't
that makes
snap
sense.
their own neck or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
Like it
And
kind of shielded
the
your
stuff
head.
without the cage or anything. Like your nose is still vulnerable. You can still break your nose.
You can easily, right,
Easily.
right.
Like-
And then when you wear the footies, guess what's not protected? The bottom of your foot.
So
So
I
if you
can still-
sidekick me in the face,
That's why I love using sidekicks
or you
Use the
front
heel.
kick me,
Yep.
you're still using the bottom of your foot.
and
Right.
front kicks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, spinning
Oh
heel
look,
kicks.
my
No
two
different.
favorite kicks, and
yeah.
it doesn't help
The
at all.
only thing that's really protected is the roundhouse kick, the
Right.
top of your shin.
Yep. That bone. Just mainly
Yeah.
the bone, I think.
Yeah, the top of your foot. So
the
it's,
one kick I don't like.
it's still not protecting
Right.
your face. So,
Right.
but to go back to your rugby thing, and to kind of go back to let's like boxers, like professional boxers, not wearing headgear.
Yep.
I think when you train like that, I think you inherently learn how to protect yourself better.
I think so as well. Conor McGregor was pretty big on that. The one time he ran that Ultimate Fighter show, he was telling all his guys like, "We're gonna do some light sparring today, but like no gear, no gloves, no shin pads, nothing. And we're going light. You're not trying to hurt each other because you're literally in camp. But it's like it just gives you that mental aspect of like this is the way you would normally fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
This I'm gonna loop this in, and you're gonna be amazed.
Go for it.
So that promotes a thing called control.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is a very important way you need to conduct yourself in a classroom setting, because we are. Let me gather my words in English.
Which is good kung fu, wrapping it back in.
That's what I'm saying. Because we're trying to build good kung fu. Good kung fu is done under pressure. Because if it can't be done under pressure, frankly, it's shit.
Calm under pressure.
So how do we create that kind of pressure? We have to simulate it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You use a lighter version.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you don't ruin your classmates.
That takes a while to develop. I feel like I just now got to the point where I feel like I'm getting better at that. Like,
Yeah,
it
takes a good year or two before I trust you not to
Yep. Throws
actually hurt me when we're sparring.
right. I think I told you I sparred with a kid outside of class not long ago. He's a younger kid. It was my niece's either friend or cousin on her dad's side, something. Either way, it's a young kid, and he was just out there messing around. He put the gloves on, and I'm just trying to box him up. But like then I noticed I'm just kind of doing my thing, moving around, throwing some little light punches,
And
tapping
he
him.
starts swinging.
And then he freaking like
He powered up, didn't he?
yeah. I was like,
Falcon
whoa, like whoa,
punch.
like you know, like you know, I don't know what was going through his mind. Truth be told, I don't know if he's like thinking of this as a win or lose thing.
Mhm.
If he's thinking an ego thing.
Mm-hmm.
If he's thinking he's just trying to freaking survive kind of thing.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know, but
I can tell you from experience, probably none of those, and he has no idea that he swung that hard.
could be. A
A lot of people don't know how hard they're hitting or
This was a
swinging.
little guy. Like
Still,
I'm not a big guy,
even more
but he
so than in
freaking
that case.
like that'll hurt. It like you know.
Are you talking little like young or little like
both,
size?
Both.
Then yeah, I guarantee
Yeah.
that's he wasn't thinking anything and had no idea that
Could
he
be.
put that much power
Could be.
behind it.
I told him after because he went to fight or spar with my niece, and I was like, you know, just keep it easy. Like, don't throw like you just
Yeah.
threw at me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know. So, yeah, it takes a while to develop that control. You know, and learn what your 30%,
You've seen it
50%.
before.
Yo, you see it all the time in class,
Yeah.
and that's why you have to reiterate playfulness,
Yeah.
light,
Yep.
control.
Right.
You know,
Don't
because
say 50% and then go ow.
oh, yo, you know,
I wonder who did that to me the other
and
day.
50%,
Right.
like when you go, like when you start saying that, 50% for you may be different for this guy.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, so you have to try to keep that control in your martial arts school so you can develop good martial artists. Because if everybody's getting hurt,
Yep.
that's
You're doing
not
something
good.
wrong.
Something
Right.
is wrong.
That 50% too can change like that.
Oh, yes.
With one punch. Like,
Yes.
and some people do it as a reaction. Like, even after we've been trained a while, it's like sometimes we're going light, and then you take a
You take
shot,
that one good
and
shot.
you're going to fire something back, and that 50% might jump up really fast. It might come back down, but there for a second, that could be all it takes to, like, somebody either get hurt or just like you kind of went overboard,
So, guys, we have really hit a lot on this topic, and I think this topic is very, passionate for all of us here.
broad.
It is. It's so
Well,
broad,
there's a lot here.
and I definitely think eventually we may have to do a part 2 to this. But Brian, to kind of sum this up, what is good kung fu?
So, in summary, here is what I take away from this. Good kung fu is finding the right teacher, putting in the work to learn it, having the discipline to continue that, not only in kung fu, but also universally. And when I say these things, what I'm talking about are the techniques that are necessary to protect yourself, to protect others, and those being working techniques. I know we didn't really say that here, but for specifically the martial arts portion, I think it needs to be I think it needs to be something that works.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking about the gong fu, it's that hard work, skill, spending time on something to make it perfect.
Mm.
And it's that chasing the ever illusionary thing that is perfection. So those things create good kung fu, and within the martial arts setting, I think it is, like I said, having the good teacher, having the skills, having the things that work, knowing when to pursue them, when to use them,
Mm-hmm.
and when to not.
Yeah,
And that's probably one of the most important.
that's big.
What about you, Joe? What is good kung fu for you? What in
Let's
summary?
see. Let me center my chi for my nice big motivational speech here. But there's 3 big principles that hit me pretty deep, and that's respect first, discipline, and perseverance. Respect for everything, like all things. Yourself, respect others, respect like all life, history,
Now I know what I'm doing wrong.
yeah, discipline, again, doing the things we don't want to do in order to achieve the things we want. The saying, like, in order, you got to taste bitter to taste sweet. That, and perseverance. Like, don't quit. Just keep going and try to enjoy things. It's not just the fighting. It's not that. It's like all walks of life. Your job, your relationships. You got to, like, put those things first. And we didn't touch on this a lot. Like, I'm 32, but I've had different sections in my life, as most people have, where I'm on top of the mountain and then I'm at the bottom of the bottom. And I can tell you 10 times out of 10, when I'm following these things and I'm exercising and I'm eating right, like, it's night and day as far as the mental health goes.
Oh, yes.
It's night and day. It's unmistakable. It's undeniable that it's better. It's always a part of you, like whatever you want to call it, depression, anxiety, like, it's always a part, but it's like, it's better, it's easier to cope with when you are taking care of yourself. So,
All right, you got to tell us yours too.
Oh man, this is gonna be so hard. So real quick, in summary, I feel like good kung fu is the development of your physical, mental, and spiritual being in whatever activity aspect of your life that you are participating in, which could be being a parent, being
that's
a martial
big one.
artist, being a coworker, being a friend. All of those things they have aspects to them that make you good at being those things. And so, since we're talking about martial arts, physically, you need to be training in some way, shape, or form. You need to be active with your training. And you may not always be able to do what you can do at certain times in your life, and knowing when to take breaks, because sometimes you need to take breaks and understand that, your body is a temple and it's something that can break down. And if you're not caring for it, it will fail you. And you need to be resting. And the mental aspect, what are you doing in order to develop certain qualities in order to traverse this world that we live in. I mean, right now, a lot of people are going through a lot of different things, and mental health has become something that is a huge talking point in our society.
Yeah.
And having things to help your mental health, to keep your mind healthy, is super important nowadays.
Yep.
And if you're not doing that, I mean, heck, look at the name of the podcast, Marshall Mentality.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're trying to develop, a Marshall mentality.
When it comes to any skill in the world, like you have to put time and effort into it to get better at it.
Oh, yeah, and it
that's
doesn't matter what it
anything.
is. It,
Doesn't-
does-
Working on your mental health.
it could be reading the Bible.
It could be reading the Bible.
You know, something different
If you
like that.
want to know it, you got to spend the time doing
Right,
it.
and
You gotta
then
read
whatever
it.
you
I'll
read, you gotta
forever-
practice it.
I'll forever not understand the people that sit down, because I'll talk to people and they'll be like, I'm not good at this.
How long have you done it?
And,
You know,
and no, but here's the thing,
That
and this is
one.
what drives me insane. I was like, okay, we'll do it, but I'm not good at it. How the hell do you think you're gonna get good at it?
Right.
Right. Yep.
Go do
Gotta
it.
try it.
I had this
hear
argument
people
with
say-
somebody last night.
I heard people say, I want to do that or I'd like to try that. And it's like, do it.
So,
You know, like, try
let
it.
me tell you this, and then I'll finish my summary.
Yeah.
I hate when people, I'm like, hey, you should come to class. And they're like, well, I need to get in shape first. So you need to get in shape to get in shape.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
That tell me how that makes sense.
Right. I know one way you get to shape. Come to class.
Come to class.
Hey, I
Right.
tell you what, you come to class and we'll get you in shape.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the point.
We all start somewhere. you
Yeah,
know?
it's-
Round
it
is a
makes
shape.
sense.
No, I'm kidding.
and it's not like you come here, get in shape, and then get out of shape. Like, you know what I mean? It's all in what you do. It's like,
Yes.
you
Yeah,
gotta
I know.
spend the time
I-
on-
I did that.
And to quickly
Probably different.
finish my summary, I'm going to go to that spiritual aspect. So again, you know, so yeah, you develop that mental health, but now you're developing that spiritual aspect. And when I think about spirituality, you know, I am definitely thinking about, man, it can be that was a hard one.
Your presence.
Yes, you know, I'm trying to figure out how I want to say it.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
what
say it.
makes you you?
Yeah.
People, you know, like, it's metaphysical, because when we meet people, like you just said about the first and second grade teachers, those people are like kind of reading the aura of that person.
Mhm.
That person is not really a good person.
Seeing the
or-
big picture of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're
person,
seeing
like,
who they
yeah.
truly are.
Right.
And a good martial artist, I have learned through years of experience, and I think some of you are experiencing this. When you train martial arts, you start to, one, develop who you truly are. And then you also can look through people and say, oh, okay, I know who Joe is. I know who Brian is.
Yeah.
I know who X, Y, and Z is. You start to see that aspect of who they really are as a person.
You know what's really hilarious that we just did and no one's really talking about it?
What do we do?
Kung Fu to me. I talked about a lot of physical things, developing skills. Kung Fu for him, talked about developing mentality, respect. Kung Fu for you, talked about spirituality, extending your.
So guess what?
This is all things we probably want to work on.
We're balanced. We're the physical,
It's
mental, and
almost like
spiritual
we have
aspects.
The three
slightly
pillars.
different pillars, but
know?
they are all necessary.
They're all, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
I feel like for good kung fu to be a good martial artist, you got to develop all of them. You can't
Yeah.
just be, I'm physically at the top of the mountain, but
That's
mentally
right.
and spiritually, I'm down here.
That's right.
You
That's
got to
right.
develop all of those things. You have
Yep.
to be balanced.
Yep.
So, guys, do we have anything else before we end this podcast?
No, I think we need to stop, or we'll just go on. all
Yeah, we'll
night.
keep ranting. So, if you've enjoyed this topic, please let us know. Comment below. You know, if you're interested in maybe another topic, let us know. We always want to hear from you guys. And as you can see, we really enjoy talking about martial arts, and we can talk on and on and on and on. But until then, until the next podcast, we thank you guys for listening. Please like, share, subscribe. And once again, this is Martial Mentality, and we are signing off.
Thank y'all.
Peace.